Test. 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 All right. You're live. So welcome to another stream. We have actually changed our streaming setup. We're now in a different room with a different configuration. So part of the problem with that is that our Linux computer is not connected yet. So we don't have internet on it. So we're going to have to do this stream out of our Windows computer. So our Windows computer is not going to be good for dependency management. We're not going to be able to it's going to be much more annoying. It's not going to be worth kind of debugging, installing the different CUDA and PyTorch versions that we had on our other system. So what we're going to work on instead for this second code stream, which actually find the link. I'll find the link. Is we are going to try to create a synthetic data set of images and camera positions as ChatGPT or as GitHub Copilot kindly auto-completed there using Blender. So it knows. So Blender is a 3D program used for modeling and kind of the creation of CG assets. And most interesting thing about Blender is that you can actually script it with Python. So we'll be able to create a little script here that will capture images of some object from a variety of camera positions, and then we'll be able to use those, write those into some data set format. Cool. All right. So you just joined. We are doing a NeRF from NeRF, which is a Neural Radiance Field, which is a form of rendering with neural networks. And we're doing it kind of from scratch. And we're trying to use ChatGPT as much as possible, augmenting our workflow with AI. So thing we can do here. Go get the stream. They're from scratch, ChatGPT 2. Let's go up. Share. Copy this link. And we will put it here. Have that for future purposes. All right, so let's go ahead and make sure our committing is working fine. So we're going to hit Control-Shift-G, and that'll open up the GitHub commit panel within VS Code, and we're going to say add code stream to link to README. And then we're going to make sure to add this README file and then hit commit and hit sync. Okay. All right, now let's go into our repo, hit refresh, and we are correctly committing, and we are committing from our GitHub account, the Hupo account. So, all right, our VS Code is working, our GitHub commit is working, and we can go ahead and get started. So, why don't we start, hit Control-Shift-E to open up the kind of sidebar here that shows us our file browser. And I think we had a script. I think we called it scene. All right. So this is a script that we were using in Blender to take an object in Blender, in this case the camera, and then print the 3x3 rotation matrix of that object. So why don't we actually go ahead and build the scene? So can you complete the following Python code for me? Port PI. Spawn a Dan monkey head. Okay, so bpy is the Blender Python binding. So by putting that import there, yeah, it'll go ahead and it gets the context. Okay, so spawn monkey head object. Okay, we're going to say object location, and we're going to move this position here, and we're going to put it there. Okay. So, there we go. Why don't we make that all caps? So in Python, one convention that you see in a lot of repos is anytime you have like a magic number or some kind of variable that is hard-coded, you want to basically do it in all caps and put it near the top of your file, close to the imports. And what that tells people is that this is a number, or in this case, a tuple that you made up, right? So it lets people know kind of, okay, this is something that I made up. All right. So why don't we also open up utils, because we need to kind of think about what this data set is going to look like. So scene manipulation. Okay. So the data set, why don't we actually put that in the README? Better place for it. So here in the code stream too. So the data set will contain, let's say 100 images of the same object from 100 different camera positions. We actually look at the NeRF paper, couple, for example, this. So here they show you, this is the different camera positions that they use, right? So here in this drum set, they sampled kind of uniformly around this object. So we need code to sample around this. Can you write code that changes the position of actually, first of all, can you modify the of such that, or no, so let's say this, can you write code to modify the position of our camera object this scene such that it sample or it moves in a sphere around object, but always looks at the samples many positions hemisphere around the object, but always looks. This is kind of a confusing. This is start of a little bit confusing, but we'll see if ChatGPT kind of get what I'm saying. Set the camera's initial position, set the number of samples here, set the radius of the hemisphere, iterate over the sample. Okay, so this is just making a circle around the object, right? The Z position is always fixed, and then it's basically putting the camera in somewhere around that Z. So I think we want something a little bit more complicated. We want, can you write code that samples various points along the surface of a sphere of a given radius and origin. I want to place the camera at of those sampled positions. Then I want the camera to look at the origin. That want there. Okay, at least this is now doing the Z as well. All right. Let's go ahead and copy this here. So we can also string format this to make it a little bit prettier here. Camera rotation matrix is camera location. Camera rotation. These are initial rotation and location for the camera. We're going to make the size of the object a little bit smaller here, 0.5. Actually, object size, say 0.5. Bring that here. Okay, the radius of the sphere, the num samples to camera sphere sample. We'll put that there. We'll do camera sphere radius. 10 is a little big. We'll do maybe more like 3. And camera sphere origin location. Oh. Okay, so let's go ahead and take these magic numbers here and replace our code down here. That it looks like we need math as a dependency. Change that into a float. Get the radius here, and this is camera sphere radius. Camera sphere samples. And num samples. This. And we'll say set the camera's location to sample point. We might have just killed Chrome here. While Chrome is thinking, let's go ahead and start putting this here. So and we can copy this here.